Good? Okay. I met James Bridgman in 2007. I had just gotten out of my 6th or 7th rehab. Prior to that, my life was on and off active addiction, heroin addict. It wasn't all bad. There was ups and downs. There, you know, I had met a girl I thought I loved. I fell in love. It didn't work out. We got divorced, and in the wake of that tragedy of the divorce, my drug use went off the charts, and I got to a point in my life where it was utterly horrible. And I was very, let's say, I couldn't see any hope for the future. So I decided to try treatment again. And so I got out in 2007. And you know, when you're in treatment, when you're a recovering addict, early recovery, you're always faced with like a fork in the road. There's two roads you can go down, and one is the easier, softer road, and one is the harder accountability road, where you have to do some work. And in the past, I'd always chose the softer, easier road, but this time I decided to take the hard road. And so instead of going back to my apartment, the place where I lived, I went to a halfway house. Several of the guys that I was in treatment with, we went to the same halfway house, and I felt like it would be more structured, and I needed that support. But one of the rules of the halfway house was you had to make 90 meetings in 90 days. So it was mandatory in order for you to continue to live there. And I was in this house for only a few days, and I hadn't made any meetings yet. And the house manager informed me, he said, "You got to make meetings, otherwise you're out, buddy." So I remember it was January, it was cold. It was a cold day, it was snowing out, and I didn't have any transportation. So this was in Chicago, by the way. So the house was on Montrose and Western. So I had to walk down the Irving Park Road, take the Irving bus over to this place. I went online and I found a place called the Recovery House, which had 12-step meetings. So I had to go there, take a sheet, and get my meeting sheet signed. So the bus comes, and the snow's accumulating, and again, here's one of these forks in the road where I'm like, should I just say, to hell with it, and I'm done with this whole thing, and or do I get on the bus and the door opens and it's just like, all right, I'm gonna take the harder road and get on the bus and go, be accountable, go to the meeting. So I get on the bus and it's packed with people, and I find a seat, I sit down, and it's just, the bus just smells horrible, and the windows are all fogged up from, all the condensation and the steam from everybody. And, I continue to ride the 3.5 miles to the recovery house, and the windows were so steamed up, I missed my stop. It went a stop further, so I had to get off the bus and double back. And I found the recovery house. It was like this storefront, this 2-story storefront on 6 corners in Chicago. And they call it 6 corners because Irving Park, Cicero, and I forget the other street, but they all line up and kind of make 6 corners there, so that's the name of the neighborhood. So I go into the meeting, and I'm really nervous, and I was shy back then, and I really wasn't, didn't have many social skills, and honestly, I was terrified. And I go into this meeting, and I sit down, and I'm hoping that nobody talks to me. I'm hoping that, I'm actually just like wishing myself to be invisible. So, up comes this dude, and it's Jimmy Bridgman, and he probably, saw me and saw how I felt. He probably related to it. And he reached out his hand, and with, just genuine warmth, he welcomed me, and he said, "Welcome, what's your name?" I said, "My name's Dan." He said, "Welcome, Dan. Would you like a cup of coffee?" And And I said, yes, thank you very much. I would like a cup of coffee. So we went over by the coffee, got me a cup of coffee, and that really put me at ease. And I felt really, really comfortable at that point. I felt like, this isn't so bad. I think I'll stay here. I'll sit down. So, at these 12-step meetings, the format is, you share whatever. When it came my turn to share, I passed. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know what to say, and everything was so new to me, and I was, I was really nervous, and that's okay. A lot of people with early recovery, it's expected that more times than not, it will pass. But when it was Jimmy's turn to share, he said, I'm Jim, I'm an addict, alcoholic, whatever. And one thing about Jim is he always would talk in cliches. He'd always, on this particular day, he said, he shared his comments where he's at, where he was at that day, and he said something that sounded absurd to me, but he said, if I have 1 foot in yesterday and 1 foot in tomorrow, I'm pissing on today. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. It was only till later, till I hung around and began to, my mind would clear up, and I began to, work my recovery. That what he was saying was that the past is done and over with. There's nothing you can do about your past. We will not regret our past nor wish to shut the door on it. And if you're obsessing about the future, if you're living in the future, the future's not even here yet. It's totally pointless to obsess and worry about something that doesn't even exist yet. And his point was that, the most important moments are right now. Living in the moment right now, doing the best you can, making the best decisions in today. And, at the time, just like, what the hell is this guy talking about, whatever. So the meeting ended, right? I wanted to just get the hell out of there. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just, wanted to go back to the house. So I'm waiting on Irving Park by the bus stop, and it's still snowing, and I don't see the bus anywhere. And there's people around me waiting for the bus. And around the corner comes this old beat-up red pickup truck, noisy as hell, comes up and stops in front of me, and it was Jim in his pickup truck. He recognized me standing by the bus stop from the meeting, and he said, hey Dan, you want to ride? Where are you going? And I said, I'm going to Montrose and Western, He said, hop in. I said, thank you very much, Jimmy. I'd really appreciate that. So I'm sitting in this truck, and he says, Dan, why did you decide to get sober? And I said, Jimmy, this isn't my first attempt at getting sober, but this is the first time that I'm doing it for myself. No one else is, the courts aren't making me do this. I'm not doing it for my parents. I'm not doing it for the ex-wife. But honestly, my marriage breaking up, it really destroyed me. It was destroyed by drugs and active addiction.
I'm going to have to stop you there. You can shut the video up. I have no idea how that related to the song.